Are you much of a coffee guy?
I am. I'm a big coffee guy.
Are you?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm excited.
So this is Cultivate Coffee out of Fuquay Varina.
Mm-hmm.
It's a medium blend called Better Together Milk Chocolate.
I like it.
So Cultivate says on the back, Better Together is a light and medium roast blend. The finest El Salvador, Santa Ana, and Kenya Tamu coffee. It's a smooth and easy drink with a mild acidity, medium body, and hints of maple syrup and milk chocolate.
I don't know what any of that means,
but
it's delicious.
I like when like coffees and other things, they like say a little hint of earth. I've never had the desire
to try
earth, but
you know it's not better together. You and I playing pickleball.
That's true.
That is not better together.
No. So this is Davis Holt, everybody. Davis and I played pickleball tournament yesterday, and we played a very sweet couple that's a lot older than us, and we lost 11-0. And
they're more experienced.
Yeah, they were more experienced. Then we went to the losers. There wasn't a losers bracket, but then we went to the losers court where just all the losers hung out, and we got smoked there too. But we'll figure it out for next time.
It's all good.
It's all good. So Davis Holt is the realtor co-principal of the results team.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the business?
This is my 13th year in business.
Oh
yeah. Unlucky 13.
Right. So how did you get started?
Yeah. So
business?
I got started I grew up in it. So my mom is a broker, has been for a long time now. My dad was a banker working with builders. So I really grew up in the industry and kind of, I don't want to say I didn't have any options besides it, but it was definitely what I knew. So right after college, I worked at the Wolfpack Club for like 3 or 4 months right after school.
Okay.
Raising money for Wolfpack athletics. And I was like, this is great, but NC State's not great at all athletics. It makes the job a little difficult. At least at the time. But it was
a little better.
Oh yeah, it was fun though. We had a good time. But I quickly knew, I was like, I need to be doing something where I'm out and in front of people, and that's what I enjoy more doing than anything. And so I got my license right after graduating from college and got into the business from there.
So at the Wolfpack job, were you doing a lot of cold calling and stuff? Was that like what?
It was like less cold calling, but we were still meeting people out in front of people. But it was, I would say it wasn't in this role, right? In this job, every day is different, right?
Right.
It's midday now and we have put out like 10 fires already, right? And like, there's something fun to that. And in that role, it was a lot more of just like, yep, football's probably going to go, 8-7 this year. Will you please give us money? And so it was a little more routine, monotonous, I guess is probably the best way. At least that's how I felt about the role. And so I was looking for something that was going to, give me something different every single day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with your mom being in the business and everything, before you even got your license, were you trying to fight the real estate business or not really? Like, were you just like,
I don't know. I don't know if I ever thought about like doing it or not doing it.
Oh,
right.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was fighting it, but it also wasn't like, man, that's definitely what I want to do, And so, but, after talking to her kind of like while I was in that Wolfpack club role, she was like, you sure you get your license? Come give it a shot. She knew what she was doing. Come give it a shot. And it stuck. I was all like, once I got into it, I was like, oh, I get it. Like, this is awesome.
So what did your first year in the business look like?
Man, good question. I mean, like anyone's, right? You're learning,
That's such a learning curve.
Yeah. So I was lucky, to have her and have her experience and be able to learn from her. But I also think she kind of just pushed me off the diving board and was like, all right, good luck.
Yeah.
I had the benefit. I think I wrote my first contract like 2 days after I was licensed,
Oh way.
which was great, but also super scary. You're like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And so, yeah, she really did, which I think for me, I think is the best way to learn is to kind of be kicked off that diving board
Mm-hmm.
and just have to go figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Now I realized like I was super lucky and blessed to have her experience to learn from. But I think you just learn so much by having to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what was the lead generation like? Like, did you start a certain way and now you've evolved to a different type of lead gen, or did you find something and stick with it?
It was a mix of everything at that time, I think, right? I mean, I was like 21, 22, so
Mhm.
it's not like my buddies were
Buying
buying
houses.
houses
Yeah,
and not many of them at least. I'm sure there was a few.
yeah. Hmm.
So that was a little difficult. Obviously, I had, I tell people all the time, like I was born on third base in this business because I had her sphere and contacts.
Right, right.
But she also wasn't just going to hand that over to a 22-year-old
Right. Yeah,
either.
yeah.
So I had to kind of go do a mix of all of that. And it was everything back then, man. It was, it was such a different time in the world and such a different time in the business. We used to have like 1-800 numbers on the uh, yard signs, and people would call on those. I mean,
Okay.
one of my first big deals I picked up off a 1-800 number and showed them a house. They didn't want that one, and I knew of a neighborhood nearby, and ended up selling them like a $800,000 house in 2012, 2013, whatever
No
that
way.
was, and it was like off a 800 number. Nobody would call that number today, right? Like
right.
they just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But at that time, that was something that was working. So we had that. We had open houses. We had, Zillow was playing a role in our business at that time. So it was a much different time in the industry,
Yeah.
as far as lead generation.
So how do you think that's evolved to now? Like, are you guys still doing a bunch of open houses like you were then, or?
No. Our business today is, and it always has been for her. It was just grown. Is referral, repeat, sphere,
Okay.
business, and that's like 95% of our business.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so that's a huge thing for us, and we try to really take care of our clients and know
Mhm.
that if we do a great job, they'll be raving fans about it,
Yeah.
and we've been blessed with that for sure.
So what's like a belief that you kind of had early on about the business that has changed?
Oh. One of the things, and I'm still working on this,
Okay.
so I don't know if I've
How old
got
are you?
35.
Okay.
I'm still working on this one. Is I think I used to just jump at everything, right? And everything was an emergency, which is easy to do in this business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think taking a step back, and with the addition of kids, I think this gets easier, and realizing not everything is an emergency,
Right.
and we have to take time, and others people's fires are not our emergencies. Clients and agents, right? Like
Right.
agents are just as bad as anybody of turning something into a fire. And I think it's just taking that step back. I used to believe I had to, make that 9 o'clock phone call.
Right.
And I've realized that 9 o'clock problem will probably be there tomorrow morning.
Right.
And so I'm still not like 100% great at it. But it's something I've worked really hard on, and I continue to try to improve that.
Oh, gotcha.
For sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned having kids, and I kind of want to dive into
Yeah.
fatherhood
Yeah.
and growing a business. So
Okay.
how do you, obviously you started in the business, had no kids. Were you married?
I was not married. No.
Okay. So
I
you
was
were,
I was dating my wife.
okay.
Yeah.
But so you were a single dude, basically, I mean, you were dating, but
Yeah.
you didn't have a ton of responsibility, and then you start building this business,
Yeah.
and then you get married, and
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
So how do you find being a good dad? Because you have 3 boys.
I have 3 boys.
How old
Yeah.
are they?
I have 2 5-year-olds and a 2-year-old. Yeah.
All right. So how do you find to be a good father to those 3 boys, but also be a good leader and businessman?
That's a loaded question.
It is
Man.
loaded.
I mean, it's something I think about all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to what I was just saying. Like, when they were born, it was COVID, it was craziness in 100 different ways. But one of the things I did that I've stuck with since the time they were born is my phone goes on Do Not Disturb at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I don't check it while they're awake. I try really hard. I shouldn't say I don't.
Right.
I try really hard not to check it while they're awake, while we're doing bedtime, while we're doing dinner time. I try to give them my undivided attention during that time. I'll check it after they go to bed. But I think, realizing that my mom worked so hard to build this business in the way that she has, and now I'm working on it, and I have no idea if any of them are going to want to be in this business or not, right? And we're talking that's 20 years from now. Who knows what this business looks like then?
Right.
And so, but I want them to see that and be proud of that. I love, we'll just be driving somewhere and the boys will be like, Dad, did you build that house? And I'm like, no, I didn't build that house, but we helped somebody move into that home or whatever. And so I think they've gotten a basic understanding of that. I think also having a parent that is an entrepreneur and building a business is a really cool thing for a kid to see and to understand. They're not going to understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur right now. But I think as they get older, they'll start to appreciate that.
Right.
And I would love for them to build their own business in whatever world they want it to be in.
Yeah. Because that is, I know I have a 2-month-old, 2.5-year-old for my wife and I's first baby. And I'm trying to find a balance of like, okay, I can spend all my time building something great so my daughter has something great when she grows up into. I also don't want to miss the time that I have with her at the moment. So for me, I'm trying to like, okay, what is that balance? Is it, like you said, shutting off your phone at 6 o'clock and just spending the evenings with her? Because at the end, I mean, you still do have to run a business. You still do have to be present in your business, but you also have to be a present father. So it's trying to
100%. And I think that's tough. I mean, I've been lucky. I've been around some men who have given me good advice. Like they've built businesses and they took the opposite approach and they were all in on their business.
Okay.
And not as much at home. And I think if you asked any of them, they would say, I would give that all away to have been more present at home. Because I think time is so finite with your kids, right? Like, and I try to remember that with them. It's difficult. It's like, it's especially in this business, right? Like they play baseball and the baseball game starts at 5. You're like, my God, I gotta like pick these kids up at like 4:15 and like you got a million other things to do. But I think it goes back to like remembering, okay, this is a season in life. Like if I miss a call at 5, I can call them back because I'm at my boys' baseball game right now, and that's what's important right now. And I think we are lucky too. The world has evolved in such a way that people are mostly understanding of that.
Right.
And it's less, so like you got to be on it all the time. And I think the world has evolved in that sense.
Yeah. I think too, like, I mean, when you look at other professions, like you're not calling your other professions after 5. You're not calling your accountant at 7 o'clock at night. Like what's going on? I mean, I guess you could, if you know your lawyer or doctor or whatever. I mean, obviously we're not doctors, lawyers, but like, I think there's that expectation. That
Totally.
Like, it's at the end of the day, it's a job too. So.
Yeah. And I what's crazy is like agents talk about this all the time. And honestly, I find most of the time it's not clients that are, it's other agents. And we're like, you don't want to talk to, you don't want to call me at 8. I don't want to call you. So I think if, agents can work together and have that kind of understanding, that piece will improve as well. Yeah.
So did you have any, going back like early on in your career, any failures that you can think of that you were like, oh, I've learned from that?
100%.
Yeah. Give me some examples of that.
Yeah, too many to even think of
failures, because then I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one.
Man, you name it. I'm like trying to think of a good one for you. I mean, I don't know if I can think of a good one off the top of my head, but I mean a ton of failure. Giving so much time to somebody. That's probably a good one. Is like, again, the times were different, but like I look back on how much time I probably wasted on some people who never had any business of even thinking that they were going to buy a house or any real motivation. And I spent so much time with them, but I never dug into them in the way that I should have to like find out the questions and ask the questions that I needed to.
Right.
And so I wasted time away from my wife, away from friends, away from doing something else, because especially back then, pre-COVID, but especially like 2012, 2013, 2015 range, like, man, it was almost like every Saturday morning I was in my car at 9. I was showing houses till like 5 or 6 at night.
Jeez.
Because you got like 3 different buyers and they had 10 houses they all wanted to see. So you're like, and I think that's one of the things I look back on and I'm like, I learned from that.
Yeah.
I wasted too much time, and I need to be better about asking the qualifying questions. But also, I've gotten a lot better too about if somebody wants to see a house, I'm going to make sure we know everything we need to know about that house versus just going to see it before we go see it. And I think we could do ourselves a lot of favors if we look into things ahead of time and say, hey, this backs up to the highway. Are you okay with that before we go, instead of getting there and then the buyer's like, oh, it backs up to the highway.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like probably a big failure that I definitely learned from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you talk about qualifying buyers, what do you do to qualify a buyer? Like, what kind of questions are you asking a prospective buyer?
Just trying to figure out the motivation.
Okay.
Why are we buying?
Mm-hmm.
What's our timeline to buy? Are we qualified to buy?
Mm-hmm.
What's that qualification look like? Are you going to have to sell a house? Are you getting a gift from a family member? I've tried really hard to get as dialed in on the finance piece as possible so that I have a pretty good understanding of what questions that a lender might be asking them. Because I find oftentimes people will tell us a lot more than they'll tell anybody else, right? And so asking those questions and kind of understanding and why, you know, like, are you in a lease for the next year? If you are, that's fine, but we're probably not buying today, so there's not a mad dash to go see this, right? Like, we can probably go tomorrow.
Yep.
And so I think it's just kind of having that understanding on buyers.
That's perfect, actually, because 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, I had this buyer that calls me. He's like, hey, I want to go look at this house. And I've never met them, never talked to them. And I'm like, yeah, great. Let's go look at it. Like you said, like sometimes you just get excited.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
And so we go and they're like, we love the house. We want to buy it. I'm like, great. I asked them if they were pre-approved before, and they're like, yeah, we're pre-approved. I'm like, okay, I should have asked for a letter, but whatever. So we get there. They love the house. They want to buy it. And we walk in. They think everything's great. Everything's perfect. And then, so they're texting me like what they want to offer and all this stuff. And I'm like, great. And then they go, but we just signed a lease 2 years ago. That's up next year. And to get out of it, we have to pay $20,000. And I'm like the remaining of the lease. And I'm like, do you have $20,000 laying around? Like,
are you going to pay it?
Pay it? Or, you're like, oh no, we can't afford it. But we were wondering if they would just like put it under contract and we could just close out the next year. And I'm like, I'll ask, but I don't think that
Probably not.
it's not gonna happen. So I called the listing agent. They're like, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
I was like, but that's great. Like, I should have. That was like one of those failures. I'm like,
totally.
Qualify them. Like, why not? And yes, now we spent all that time showing the properties, calling them, working that. Like, I wrote up the offer and everything. And then they tell me, oh, we just signed a lease. We can't even buy anything.
Jeez.
So, yeah, you definitely live in a win. But
Absolutely. And I mean, in this business, that's the only way to learn is to like have that failure. I mean, there's still things. I mean, I feel like we learn something new every single day in this business. And so, I mean, that's one of the toughest parts though, is because you're like, I want to help these people and I trust them and I believe in them. Yeah. But asking a few more questions usually does help.
I would say, I don't know if you have like a specific failure that ended up being like something you carry on throughout the rest of your career, like early on in your career, like whether it was you joined the wrong brokerage or I mean, I don't really think there's a wrong broker. I guess there might be. It's kind of just a personal preference kind of thing. But, I don't know, like if is there something that really stood out to you that is something that you have made a switch in your career about?
Ugh. good question. I don't know if I've made a switch on. That's so hard. I'm also trying to remember from so long ago. I can barely remember yesterday. Man, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, again, I've already kind of said it, but I think the biggest switch for me was, and it took years, was just not jumping at anything and everything,
Right.
and understanding that not everybody is going to be the right fit or the right client for you, and that's okay.
Right.
I think that's the beautiful thing about this business, is that this business can be whatever you want it to be, right? And everybody, each individual broker is gonna have a different business, and I think it's easy in this world, especially in a world full of like, I sold this volume and this many, and it's easy to compare to each other.
Right.
At the end of the day, this business has to be what you want it to be, right?
Right.
And if you want to compete on numbers with everybody else, it's going to look a lot different than if you want to build a business that you're proud of and that fits the life that you want to have.
Right.
And I think that's probably been a big adjustment or a big switch in mindset for me.
That's so good. Yeah. So when you started out, when did you immediately think, yes, this is what I'm going to do? Or at what point did you think, yeah, this is what I'm meant to do?
No, I definitely had my moments where I was like, this is brutal. I still have those moments. Yeah, where I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I don't know where the switch happened. I mean, definitely when my wife and I got married, which was only 2 years in, to me being in the business. So I was like, okay, well, I have a life now, so
You gotta kind of
I have a family. Yeah. So that, and but I think as the business kind of grew, I was like, okay, I get it now and I understand it. And you gain more experience, so you gain more confidence. And I think as you have more confidence in this business, the better you get and the more people trust you. And so I think all of that kind of is like a snowball effect in this business, where it's like, you just got to keep going. And if you keep going, all of it will compound over time and be better. So I don't know if I can put a date on that specifically, but yeah, I mean, when we got married, it was like, all right, now I've got a family. I know we're going to want kids one day. Like, got to get prepared for that. And then obviously when you have kids, it's like, now I definitely,
you definitely got to step up.
Yeah.
I think it's the same for me. Like when I got married, because I got my license when I was 18, got married when I was 22. Well, I kind of worked some because I didn't sell a lot my first couple of years, especially when I was like 18, 19.
Sure.
And I'm like, all right, kind of has a couple jobs and everything. And then I was dating my wife since we were 14. But then, we got engaged, we got married. And I'm like, okay, either I got to be all in or all out. Like, you got to figure something out. And so, just putting pedal to the metal and rolling with it.
100%.
But it's been a great business so far.
Yeah.
So what is some advice that you would give to a new agent coming into the business?
I think one of the big things is, a few, I guess, would be treat it like a job, because it is. I think so many people think that they're going to post on Facebook, hey, I got my license and you should refer all your friends and family to me. And I think that one of the hardest things as a new agent is the realization is you're probably not going to get your friends and family for a while. Right. And so that's hard. You're going to have to show them that you deserve their trust. So get out and go do the work that's required to build that trust with them. And what does that look like? It looks like generating leads on your own, because you can't rely on your friends and family 2 weeks into this business. So I think that's a big piece. I think the other piece is, I think in this, in dealing with some new agents in the past, what I've seen is they want to be, and I'm trying to say this nicely, they want to be handheld all the way through.
Right.
And maybe it's just because I learned this way, but I think the best way to learn is to just jump off the diving board and go figure it out. You're going to mess up.
Right.
And you got to be okay with that. And you can't expect to be handheld all the way through. Of course, there's hand holding that goes into it. Absolutely. but also some of it you got to go fail and mess up, and then you'll make the adjustments from there.
Yeah.
And I think the acceptance of that is hard and difficult. Of course it is. But I think you got to be able to do that to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like starting out as a new agent, I didn't have any mentors, anything. So like that first year, I think I sold one house to a lady I knew who just happened to call me because I was the only person she knew the lesson. And so I was like, let's go. I was so psyched. And I actually remember we were the buyer, and I sent the listing agent like every form we had signed, my buyer agency agreement, by working with real estate agents, brochure, I mean, everything. And he texts me back, or he emails me. He's like, okay, first, you don't need to send me all this, but I did look through it and you have a bunch of mistakes. Here they are.
It was nice.
It was nice. Yeah, it was very nice. I was like, oh, all right, thanks, man. But
well, and that's the best part about this business too, is like, for the most part, people are going to help you out, right? My mom and I were just talking about that, how like when she was first getting started in the business, it was very like cutthroat. It was very like, this is my client. I represent them. It's you versus me. And there's still some of that today, but I think today agents are a lot more collaborative and realize I got to get to closing. That's my client's goal. That's my buyer's goal. That's my seller's goal, is for us to get to the closing table in the smoothest possible way. And I think where agents are a lot more collaborative in that sense today. And so I think new agents can rely on that, right? And understand that like, it's not me versus somebody else. We're all here working towards the same goal.
Yeah. When you started in the business, looking back now, is there anything you would have done differently?
Man, yeah, a lot. I'm trying to think of like the biggest one.
I mean, obviously, like besides sending an agent all your forms and everything, not knowing what you're doing.
I think we continue to improve our client and database outreach, and we continue to work really hard on that. And I think if I had done a better job of that as a younger dude, it would have made a big difference. And honestly, like, now we do a lot of social media and all that stuff. You could probably go on my Facebook for the last like 12 years, 13 years, and you'll find maybe like 5 posts, maybe about real estate. Right. And so like, should I have done more back in the day? Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Because I probably had a huge opportunity because nobody else was doing it.
Right. Yeah.
So I look back on that and I'm like, I probably did miss out on that. And that's probably my biggest thing, is just the opportunities that I missed because I wasn't shouting out to everybody, hey, I'm a realtor, come call me.
Right. So like a new agent, right, that's what they should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's it's got to be something of value, right? And I think that's the biggest. I get on Facebook, and of course I got like 1 million agent friends on there, and some of the posts I see, I'm just like, woof, that's tough. But then there's ones that are really, really good, and you're like, that's what people want to see.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward to where you are today. How's business?
It's good. Yeah, I mean, we're super blessed to have a great database, and we try to take care of them and work with those clients, and they continue to refer folks to us and kind of grow the results team family. And so we're very appreciative of that. Absolutely. I mean, we have clients who, I mean, I can think of one off the top of my head, thinks my mom is his mom. Like, yeah. So, I mean, we really do operate in that way.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So how has the results team transitioned over the last 5 years into what you guys are doing now? Or has it been the same? Or have you tried new things that hasn't worked out?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it's remained the same. It's us, and we've got an amazing transaction coordinator with us who's been with us for 8 years now. I mean,
that's crazy.
She knows. I mean, she talks like we do, knows like,
Mhm.
she knows exactly how I would respond to something, and she responds in the same way. I tell people all the time who don't know us, I'm like, go read our Google reviews, because like they mention me, but they all mention Daisy. Everybody loves Daisy, right? And so that's huge. I think that's a huge piece of our business for sure. And so, yeah, we have Daisy and then Whitney, who's our marketing and listing coordinator. And so, it's, we try to keep it close knit and work really hard with each other and stay together. But yeah, we've had agents over time join the team, come and go, and had some failures there and had some success there as well.
So, but you guys have never had the vision to have this big mega team,
I don't think so.
and you don't see that coming anytime soon.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just not for me, quite
Right.
frankly.
Yeah.
I love our community, and I love the people that we serve and the people who I do it with. And not to say that I wouldn't love having other people on the team, but I kind of just like, right now, at least, and this may change next year or 5 years from now. Right now, I kind of like where we're at. I think we've got a good thing going, and if it ain't fixed, don't break. Or what is it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, that's kind of my mindset right now. Yeah.
So, what is one thing you guys are doing right now that you feel like is working the best? I mean, I know you said working your sphere and stuff like.
Yeah, working our sphere. So we do a lot of events. I think that's probably our
What kind
biggest
of events?
all sorts of client events, but that, and we've done, you name an event, we've probably done it over the last like 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
We've done movies, the bowling. We always do Pi Day. Pi Day's the craziest one to me. We never did Pi Day, and then like 7 years ago, we're like, all right, we'll try Pi Day. And everybody does it.
Yeah.
And every year blows my mind how many people show up for a pie.
No kid.
You're like, what? And the first year we did it, we kind of knew, all right, we got to keep doing this, because we had a couple of clients pull up in like their luxury vehicles to come buy to come get a $5 pie. And it just like blew our mind. But now, like, there's so many people in our world who like expect that. They're like, on Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, this is our family tradition. We go pick up a pie from Annette and Davis. And you're like, that is crazy.
That is.
But also such an honor, right? You're like, that's awesome that people actually want to come see you. And so stuff like that. But we continue to try to improve that, and we try to mix it up a little bit too, because I get tired of doing the same thing over and over again. Right. So trying to mix it up. After yesterday, I was like, man, we should do a pickleball event. I thought it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I could see a cool client event there for sure.
Yeah, that place was sick.
Yeah, it was awesome. Cool. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So right now, they always say the difference between like discipline and motivation is motivation fails, and discipline is what keeps you going. Right now, for you, what is your primary driver? Is it discipline? Is it motivation? Or is it fear of just not making enough money?
It's probably a combination of all of the above.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's fear. There's always fear, right, in this business. Right. Every day you wake up and you're essentially starting over, right? And so there's some fear in that, but I've also come to accept that is what it is, and I don't know if I necessarily deal with that. I also have faith that we'll be provided with the things that we need. So I don't necessarily have that fear. But when it comes to discipline and motivation, absolutely, those are two things, and I think I probably use both of them in my day to day. My wife will tell you, I am, for better or for worse, one of the most like self-disciplined people in the world. Like if I say I'm not going to do something, I'm not going to do it. And that's good and bad. You're right. Because once you decide you're not going to do something, it's a lot harder to decide to give that up. But I'm also motivated, right? Financially, for my kids, for my family. And my wife and I are, we like to give money away to the right charities, and so there's a lot of motivation in that sense. To be able to support people. Absolutely. And we've got Daisy and Whitney who rely on us, right? So like on a daily basis, I'm waking up going like, they and their families are relying on us to provide. And so it's not just my family that I wake up and think of, it's a lot of families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty good motivation.
It is. But, and there's so many people counting on you, right? Like,
Right.
not just them, but like your clients, they are counting on you. And they're counting on you to show up every day and figure out whatever fire is going to come up, how to put it out. And they expect you to know that, and you should.
Right.
So, yeah, I think I think you got to have both in this business.
Yeah.
You got to have the self-discipline to say like, I am going to work at 9 o'clock this morning. Would I love to go play golf 3 times a week? Yeah, sure.
Right.
Well, not really. I don't like golf, but like whatever, you name it, right? But like, I also have people counting on me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is a day in the life of Davis look like? Of course, we all know that it changes every day.
It changes every day.
If it was a perfect day
Yeah.
in the life of Davis, what would it be?
So most mornings, back to the self-discipline part, I wake up at like 5 so I can sit in my house quietly, because that's the only time my house is quiet. So I wake up at 5, I drink some coffee, I usually check some emails, respond to people, whatever. And then I work out after that at the house.
Like
So,
you do like Peloton or gym or
yeah,
lift weights?
gym, go for a run, whatever,
Yeah.
mix it up. So I do that almost every single morning. And then by the time I'm done working out, kids are up, and then it's like
It's showtime.
rock and roll. Yeah. So it's getting everybody ready and out
Yeah.
the door. So we do that. And then, on a perfect day, it's get to the office. We're big office people. I'm not a work from home guy. I can't do
Yeah,
it.
I'm not either.
Yeah. I got to be at the office. So get to the office, do whatever we're doing here, get in front of clients, whatever the day calls for in that sense. And then try to be home by 5:30 or so. That's usually when kids are home. We'll play outside for a long time. Right now we're on a sports break, thankfully, but usually we have like 4 activities going
Yeah.
at once, which is only going to get worse once the third starts doing stuff. So, usually at nighttime I'm doing something
Right.
in that regard. And then, yeah, from there it's getting into bedtime, and, try to keep most days looking the same, because what happens between 9 to 5 is going to be different.
Right.
But those mornings and evenings, trying to keep most days looking the same.
Yeah.
Because those are the things you can control.
Yeah. The discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can keep going.
Yeah.
So your business right now, is it mostly buyers, sellers, new construction, resale? Is it a mix of everything?
A mix of all of the above.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a lot of new construction, but we've also got some resale. So yeah, it's a mix of everything right now. Right now, just because of where the market is, it's listing heavy and lighter on the buyer side. But that's just market driven. You would have asked me that question 3 years ago, I would have said we're buyer heavy and short on listings. And so it's just the market
Just
that we're
the market.
in.
Yeah. How'd you get into the whole new construction scene?
I decided I wanted to give that a shot. A buddy and I started flipping houses together, kind of one at a time, and kind of rolled that business up, and then into some new construction deals. And so we've been blessed with great partners in that, and kind of working on that side of the business is a completely different aspect of the business. But I've been able to use my experience in that to help clients, right? So like I've learned so much from that side of the business, and that helps me with clients as well. So it's a win-win for everybody in my mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're flipping. I flip too.
Yeah.
Not a ton, maybe like 2 years, something like that. But how'd you get started with all that? Like, what did that look like? You guys just doing it yourselves?
Yeah.
Subcontracting?
Yeah, we bought we bought a duplex in Garner for $62,000. Probably would have been easier to tear that thing down than to do what we did. And yeah, we made about 1,000,001 mistakes in it. We did sell it. I think we did make some money. Probably not a lot. And
But enough to make you want to do another.
yeah, we did another and then another and then another. So yeah, I mean, we learned a lot. But yeah, I'll never forget, man. We didn't know what we were doing, and we were also trying to do it for as cheap as possible.
Of course.
And we hired some subcontractors, and looking back on it, I'm pretty sure they were just living out of their van and like had no business doing anything to a house. And we were like just about done getting ready to put this place on the market. Like I think we were about to do photos, and come to find out, it was a duplex. They had been living in one of the units at night, but hadn't told us. Like they would pack up and make it look like they were leaving, but then they would come back and like sleep there. And then they started smoking inside the unit. So we go to like get this place on the market, and one side of the duplex just reeks of cigarette smoke, and like it's brand new sheetrock, brand new cabinets, brand new floor, and you're like, there's only one way. And like, so now you're like, how do I get cigarette smoke, or I'm gonna have to rip everything out all over again? I don't even remember what we did. I know I went straight to like Dollar Tree and bought a bunch of Clorox and was like hoping that would do it, but I don't think it did. So anyways, yeah, we made 1,000,000 mistakes in that business.
Yeah.
It's an interesting game to play.
It is. And I feel like, I mean, we don't do any new construction, but I'm like, I feel like new construction would kind of be easier because you're not putting new with old. It's just all new.
Yeah. It has its challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, in today's world, permits and inspections and all that is just, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely brutal.
So you guys aren't doing any flips anymore?
Not now.
Yeah.
No, not right now.
When do you guys stop? Like when you make the transition from?
Our last slip was probably like 2020, 2021, and then we made that that move. So yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah. That last one was essentially new construction. I think we took it all the way down to the foundation and started over. So it was like, all right, let's just yeah.
So now do you guys have like a single contractor that you use who?
Most of the time, yeah.
Is there, or do you find other people and kind of?
Usually a single, who's a partner, and yeah, it's been a good relationship for us. And I think that's a key piece of the business, is having people you can trust. Or it's just like our business, people you can trust and like you can count on.
Yeah,
for sure.
So new construction and the real estate, those are like your two things that you're doing.
Yeah.
When you're starting out and you're not making any money because you're not selling anything, what is your thoughts on like supplementing income?
I think you should do it. I was just talking to an agent. I was talking to him yesterday, but he had a buyer on a new construction listing of ours recently, and they just closed. And he's trying to get started in the business, new agent, and he works, he's a waiter at a high-end restaurant in downtown Raleigh, and he's picked up like 5 clients from this. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And at first he was like playing it off, talking about like, yeah, I'm also and I'm like, dude, that's awesome that you're putting the work in to try to make the real estate business work. Looking back on it, when I got started, I was 22. I didn't have any expenses. Like,
right.
What were my expenses?
Right.
But like, if you're not 22, if you got a family, like, yeah, you gotta still provide.
Yeah.
And so I think it's something to be proud of. I think it's got to be a job that can give you the flexibility to meet your client demands as well. So like, that's probably the difficult part. But yeah, I think you should do it. And I think you should do whatever it is that you have an interest in. But I love what he's done in taking this job that he has and that he needs to have to, live on a day-to-day basis. But he's also building clients out of it.
Right.
And I just think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool and a huge opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that entrepreneurial hustle.
Yeah.
So like, do you, growing up and getting into the business and everything, like, did you see yourself as an entrepreneur? Because when you look at real estate agents, like, I mean, probably the outside world doesn't really think of it as an entrepreneurial endeavor.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're running your own business.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you got to find clients. Like
Yeah.
you got to do
I
the
know
work.
people are always so surprised when I'm like, yeah, I don't have a W-2. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't close. I don't eat.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, 100%. In high school, a couple of buddies and I started a car detailing business,
Oh yeah.
and one of our buddies lived in Cary in a nice neighborhood, and we just dominated that neighborhood, and it was like cash. Don't tell the government. I doubt I ever paid taxes on anything that we made.
Yeah.
And I think I was hooked on it then because, like, as a high schooler, I'll never forget one day we all made like $1,200 each in a day, and we went out to like Con Key that night or something because we were like, what else? Yeah, what else are we gonna do? Like, no 16-year-old needs $1,200 in a day, and yeah, I think I was hooked on that because I was like, I could work anywhere and I wouldn't make $1,200 in like a week, maybe a month, and I just make $1,200 in a day, and I was like, yeah,
That's crazy.
count me in on this. So yeah, we built that business in high school. That's one I look back on like, man, we should have never stopped.
Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, that's what I love. Like when you talk to other real estate agents, like they all have the similar like an entrepreneurial story. Like, yeah, when I was a kid, I did this. When I was like when I was in high school, I started a phone repair company.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, it killed. In high school, everybody had like the iPhone 4s.
Right.
And so I don't even know if they're those, but you know, their screens break and then their parents' screen is break, and I'll be like, I'll fix it.
Yeah.
You know, make $60 in 30 minutes. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I love the entrepreneurial spirit of people.
Absolutely.
And just like finding what drives them. And,
Yeah.
and then the beauty of it is like the risk and reward, right? Like,
Yeah.
You don't close, you don't. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't eat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's feast or famine.
100%.
But at the same time, there's no limit. Like,
Yeah.
I go work for somebody and they say, here's your salary.
Yeah.
That's it, man. You know, and for me and you and other entrepreneurs, like you're just to have that cap on you.
Yeah.
Like that's a pisser.
Yeah. No, 100%. No, I look back at the detailing, like we would set up in a neighbor's yard, like doing somebody's car. We'd put a sign in the driveway about like, we can come to your house next. And then one of us would go start knocking on doors around that neighbor to go pick up some, which is what we do as real estate agents anyway.
Right.
And so you look back at that and you're like, man, looking back just at that, I was like, I don't want to do one car today. I want to do 10 cars today.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is an interesting piece. I think if you learn that at a young age, it's super beneficial.
Yeah.
Whether you end up being an entrepreneur or not, I think it's a huge.
Do you think somebody that's not an entrepreneur can have a good real estate career?
Yeah, it's just different.
Yeah.
Maybe they're a good teammate. Maybe they're a good, closing coordinator. Maybe they're whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like not everybody wants to go home thinking about those other things, right?
Yeah.
It's completely fine, but there's still a place in this business for them.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Because like when me and my wife go on vacation, obviously, like, hopefully it'll die down now that I have a baby. I won't be on my phone so much. But like, I mean, you're not ever off. You know what I'm saying? And so like when she clocked out of work as a nurse, like that's it. She don't think about it shit. But like at night, we're thinking, okay, what do we got to do tomorrow? How do we increase revenue? How do we get more clients? And that kind of stuff. And it never shuts off.
Right.
But like my wife has no desire at all to have any of that type of responsibility.
Yeah.
She's like, I'd rather just not do anything.
Yeah,
than have
100%. My wife is in sales, and she's the same way. She's like, I love my job, and it ends at 5.
And it ends at 5.
It's
Sometimes
great.
I do think, I'm like, does sound kind of nice.
Yeah. Once you're hooked, though, you're hooked.
You're hooked. Yeah, man. When the sun sets on your career, what do you want people to remember about it?
I think my biggest thing is I just hope people say that I was kind to them is my biggest thing. Agents and clients, I want to treat everybody fairly and kindly. And I think if we do that, you can build as big of a business as you want. And I think you'll be rewarded for it. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I love it. So this end of the show, I would like to talk about this Cultivate Coffee.
Okay.
Shout out Cultivate Coffee. It was a great coffee.
Uh-huh.
And excellent. I want you to rate this coffee, not Cultivate in general, but just this being on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 worst coffee you've ever had, 10 being the greatest coffee ever had.
All right.
Granted, Cultivate, since you're listening to this, I don't know if I brewed it correctly. Those segments,
Very good.
was it, but I think I did.
Yeah, you did.
A pour over. So
Yeah. Well, I love Cultivate to begin with, so I'm gonna be biased. I'd probably give it a 7 or 8. Yeah.
yeah,
It's pretty good.
yeah. I was thinking 8. I was
Yeah.
thinking 8. It's
Yeah.
definitely like kind of almost a chocolatey
Yeah.
a taste to it.
I usually get their light blend, I think, but this, I think I like this better
Really?
than
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not a dark roast guy. I like the light roast.
Yeah.
Light roast actually has more caffeine.
Caffeine. Yeah.
I know that.
That's why I buy it. Yeah.
Um, but no, I thought, yeah, I would give it an 8 too. I thought it was really,
Yeah.
really good and definitely something I would have to have again. So,
Yeah. No,
if you are listening, get you some Cultivate called Better Together medium blend milk chocolate. It was delicious. Davis, man, thank you for coming
yeah.
on.
This was
My first
awesome.
guest on-
Yeah. Way to go. You crushed it, dude.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you were my first guest. Like, God, I really look up to you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So,
Appreciate it.
talk to you soon.